Well, in this video, I'm going to share a couple of stories with you that I hope will be informative for you, maybe a little bit entertaining, and also help you learn how to be successful in your lawn care business. I don't share these with somebody that I think has had the most success, but I have been in the lawn care business for a long time, and I hope that even if you're in the lawn care business and been in there for a long time, you can learn some new stories, or maybe you're not even in the lawn business, you just like to hear stories, then you might find this applicable as well. I've got actually two stories today. One involves an old person, which a lot of my stories do on YouTube, and the other one is not so old, but I think we can learn something from both of them. Today's video is sponsored by Yardbook. I've been in the lawn care business for a long time, but I've been using Yardbook to run my business since 2015. If you need a software to manage your business, go over to yardbook.com and sign up for a free account. These stories are a good reminder to me. They keep things interested in my own personal life. I'm out there. I run a weed control and fertilization business in Alabama. And so what happened, I'll start with this. I can't remember, these actually might have happened on the same day. I think they did. So the first story, I'm out there. I've got a busy day stacked up, a lot of yards to do. I'm doing weed control and fertilization out there, taking care of these customers. And I'm out there on a yard I've been taking care of for years. And all of a sudden, I hear somebody say, excuse me, and from a distance. And I'm almost always listening to a podcast or audio book or something, and I'm out there spraying the yard, and I hear something, I started looking around, you know, you can't exactly hear where it's come from, and it's an older lady across the street, probably 80 years old. And I was like, okay, and I'm almost done with the yard. You know, in that situation, I'm spraying with a hose reel, and I got to set the hose reel down, trying to remember where I've sprayed, where I hadn't sprayed. I mean, a lot of times I want to just finish the yard where I know I did it, because I don't want to go back and overspray something or miss something. And when you have a conversation, you might forget where you were. So anyway, but in this situation, she's talking, and I walk over there. And I was actually, if I remember correctly, I like baseball. I was listening to a baseball podcast in my pocket. I never shut it off because I wasn't expecting it to be a long conversation. This is not my customer. I go over there, and she asks me or mentions that she has bees in her yard. She had a lot of blooming flowers, butterfly bushes, maybe crepe myrtle, things like that. And she's basically a beekeeper. Now, I didn't see any beehives, so maybe, I don't know if she was like a legit beekeeper. I feel like she might have been, but she at least had a lot of bees. She wanted to know if I was spraying anything that would be harmful to the bees. Well, I was caught a little bit off guard by that. Because one, she's not my customer. I'm taking care of the yard across the street. And the yard across the street did not have bees, and there's not much things blooming at the time. And so what I told her was, I said, well, you know, I'm spraying for weeds primarily, which was the main thing I was doing. But it just so happened in my mind, I did have an insecticide in there. I was spraying a product called bifenthrin, helped with chinch bugs, and then spraying another product called Durentis that could help with grubs and armyworms and things. Now, I only do that one time a year. One time in the whole year do I spray an insecticide, but it just so happens to be the time that she asked me. And so she comes over there, and I'm trying to figure out exactly how to answer this, because I didn't know what direction she was going to go with it. So I said, hey, yeah, I'm taking care of the weeds here. And she's like basically questioning, do I know what I'm spraying? And she wasn't rude about it. You know, I said, oh yeah, I know what I'm spraying. And I said, well, I am spraying an insecticide, you know, it's to help with the insects that are harmful to the lawn. I said, I'm also spraying for weeds, but the insecticide's for things like grubs, chinch bugs, armyworms. And she's like, okay. She said, well, I just don't want anything sprayed that's going to be harmful to the bees. And you can see where this could be going. I'm thinking this is not going to be good. I don't know if this lady's going to be mad, think I kill her bees. And so I try to explain to her, I try to think, okay, what can I say right now? And I said, you know, I only spray insecticide one time a year. I said, also try to be very conscious of when stuff is blooming. You know, when for instance, if I was going to put some kind of insecticide down on shrubs, like I got this one customer who do a treatment for azalea lace bugs, but we try to wait until after the azaleas have finished blooming, you know, because you don't want to damage your pollinators. I understand it, and it is a concern of the industry. And so I said, yeah, I get that. I understand. I said, my neighbors got bees. I began to share with her a story of a beehive that showed up in my front yard this spring. It was thousands of bees, and the neighbor come over who's a beekeeper, and he tried to catch them and get the queen and all this stuff. So try to relate to her. What ended up happening? Well, the lady was, you know, a little bit nervous at first, and not nervous, but maybe, I'm not saying trying to pick a fight, but she was coming over there to, you know, question what I'm doing. And I think in this particular situation, it doesn't always go this way for me, but in this particular situation, I think I was able to answer her calmly, and she was able to respect what I was doing. I don't know that she was thrilled about it. And I'm spraying a lawn full of grass, you know, and I'm not saying a bee has never flew across that lawn, but I don't think there was a lot of bees just going over there and just sitting on this grass with no blooming flowers. You know, when her yard is just loaded with flowers and there's bees flying around everywhere. So I understood her point, but what eventually ended up happening is she sat there and talked to me for probably, I'm gonna say 10 minutes, possibly 15 minutes. I kept the baseball podcast playing in my pocket, not trying to be rude. She's older, I don't know if she could hear good. I wasn't expecting the conversation to go very long. I was I wasn't listening to the podcast, I was listening to her. I'd go back and rewind the podcast to figure out what I missed. She ended up talking to me about where I lived, how many kids I have, you know, in a friendly way. I mean, she was like, and I think, you know, she's older, she probably doesn't talk to that many people during the day. So I feel like if I learned anything, calm her down, not lie to her, give her the answer, talk to her, and she even said at one point, she's like, I realize you gotta, you know, you're trying to be effective at what you're doing and do what you want to do, and I'm trying to protect my bees. And I said, yeah, I understand. I said, I only spray one time a year. I'm not spraying around anything that's blooming. I'm out here spraying in the grass. I said, matter of fact, this yard last year got hit with grubs, and it had a bald spot. It's recovered now, but it actually had grub damage, and these insects can harm lawns. She pointed at the neighbor's yard, and she was like, they got a big bald spot in their yard, you know, and she's talking about how good the yard looked that I was doing. At least that's how I remember it. By the end of the conversation, I felt like she had an extremely friendly demeanor to me, was asking me about my kids and talking to me, and I think I told her I used to live right up the road, not too far from her, but I had since moved to a new house. I don't think she's ever going to question me again. I think if she sees me out there, I don't think she'll make a big deal, because I think she left saying, hey, he was respectful to me, and he's doing his job. He's trying to be conscientious of the pollinators and all the things. I got plenty of stories where they didn't go that well. I yelled at somebody, it didn't, and they of course fired me and all the things. But in this situation, I think it went well, and I'm glad to report that. Now, same day, I go later on, and this actually to a friend of mine's house whose yard I've been taking care of for years. I'm riding on my Z-Spray, spraying his yard, and he's got a septic tank in the back, and it's got probably a 3-inch PVC pipe sticking up out of the ground, and it's probably sticking up 3 inches, got a little cap on it. Well, my Z-Spray, I mean, I'm sitting here looking at it on the trailer after this happened, and it probably has close to 12 inches of clearance underneath. So I still ain't figured out exactly how this happened. But I'm spraying the yard, and I see the little pipe sticking up out of the ground. I mean, it's not like it just showed up. It's been there the whole time. And a lot of times I spray with the hose. This time I'm riding a machine. And so I think I'm just going to straddle that pipe and go right over top of it. And I didn't figure out how a pipe that sticks up 3 or 4 inches out of the ground got hung on something, a 12-inch clearance. Obviously, my vision's wrong, or maybe I hit a hole and bottomed out or something, but somehow it catches on the pipe and snaps it off. Now, this is not some major sewer pipe. Sewage didn't start pouring up out of the ground. It's some kind of, I don't even know what it was. I've got a septic tank. I don't have some pipe sticking up out of my ground. So I'm not exactly sure what it does, but it's some pipe that sticks up there and had a cap, and I snap it off about 12 inches below the ground. And I'm like, oh man, it didn't mess my machine up or anything. It just snapped off this PVC pipe. Well, I have a friend who's a plumber. At first I look at it, finish the yard, and I call my friend, and I said, hey, whose house it was. I said, hey, you're gonna kill me, man. I hit your goofy pipe sticking up out of your septic tank and broke it off. He said, oh no, you did. I said, yeah, I did. And I thought he was joking, but I don't think he was. But he wasn't like super upset about it. But he's like, I'll come home. I'll figure. I said, no, man, don't do that. I said, I've got a plumber that I use, as a friend of mine. I said, let me call him. Get him to fix it. And I'll pay for it. It's not your fault. I'm sorry that it happened. So I was just apologetic. And he was like, yeah, that's fine if you want to do that. And in this situation, because he's a friend of mine and because he's a pretty handy guy, if I would have said, hey, I'll come over there later and we'll get a shovel and dig it up and cut it off and replace it, I imagine we could have figured it out. I don't think it's some huge, complicated plumbing assignment. But, it was my mistake. I hit the thing, I broke it. And that would be something that he would have to do. I mean, I probably could have done it myself, but I'm not great at that. And he's the kind of person, he wants it done right, which I would too. And it is somehow attached to his septic tank. I'm not exactly sure what it does. So I think it was important for me just to get somebody who's a plumber, and yeah, it's gonna cost a little bit more. Surely it's not, I ain't got the bill yet, but I don't think it's gonna cost that much. But I get a plumber, he went out the next day, fixed the job, and now it's fixed, and now it's been fixed by a professional, and you should feel good about it being fixed, and it shouldn't be a problem anymore. So what's the moral of that story? Well, I think the moral of the story is this: when you break something in a business, you take responsibility for it. And again, me and him could have fixed it, but that would have been something on him. He would have had to help me fix it because he's better at fixing stuff than I am. And I think in this situation, just pay for it. It's done right by a professional. And yeah, I mean, it kind of ate into my profits for that day and for that customer for the year. I've had to pay whatever it's going to cost, $200, or I don't know what it'll cost to fix it. It's going to eat into the profits for that particular account for the year. But it's more about, in my opinion, just trying to do the right thing. What would you want done if it was the opposite situation? I don't think he'd been super mad if we'd fixed it ourselves, but I think the right thing to do is just to pay somebody to do it. Yeah, I don't always handle these situations right, and I've not had like the most greatest success in lawn care. I have been doing it for a long time and been moderately successful, and I just thought maybe, even though I mess these situations up a lot of times, in this situation, I think it was a reminder, especially for a small local business, whether it's lawn care or something else, your reputation does matter. So the reputation with the older lady who's a neighbor, I feel like she left respectable toward me and was able to maintain the reputation of the company. And just to be honest with you, as an individual, forget the business side of just person to person. And even my friend, I didn't want to take advantage of him because my friend, if he wasn't my friend, of course I'm going to pay somebody to fix it. But I didn't want to take advantage of him because my friend say, okay, well, we'll just figure it out ourselves. We'll come over and do it. Again, it wouldn't have been that difficult to repair. Not taking advantage of him, and to even with a friend to give confidence that I'm going to take care of it. If I broke it, I'm going to fix it for you. And I think that, again, going back, if I could learn one lesson from this, is just trying to maintain the reputation of your business. And if you do that, and this goes for lawn care, I think over time, you have a good reputation, you deliver good results, over time the route density begins to build, because you don't want to lose customers from a bad reputation. You want to continue gaining more and more customers in the same neighborhoods, at least this is my strategy, because of a good reputation and of course good results and being reliable. So yes, it cost me on the front end, it was my mistake. But ultimately, if I can gain more customers by being a reputable company, then I'm more efficient and it'll more than pay off in the long run. I hope these videos are helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed the stories. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed those, I'll put a story popping up on your screen now that may be where it didn't go so well. I've got some of those, so you can watch the video popping up on your screen now. As I like to mention, if you want to get in weed control and fertilization like me, and you are in the South and deal with warm season grasses, you can go to lawncarelife.com. Check out the Weed Control and Fertilization Academy. It's a video course, comes with a lot of resources. There's pricing charts, other things, all at lawncarelife.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.